all I ever wanted this land for was to be able to share it with my family. I don't want them to have to move away from Peak's Peak. Hobby homesteaders, welcome back to Peak's Peak. My name's Lucas. We're sharing our hobbies on 38 acres in eastern Kentucky. And today, guys, I'm working on something that I did not see coming. Hopefully, it doesn't get too much in the way of our other plans for this year. But if you follow my channel, then you know I have 2 grandbabies on the way. And I'm big time family man. You know, all I ever wanted this land for was to be able to share it with my family. I've talked to you guys about my son moving in and taking over my pasture down over the hill. Well, my daughter and my son-in-law are living in an apartment above our garage, and that's all going great. But with their little one on the way, things are gonna get pretty tight in that little apartment. And I don't want them to have to move away from Peak's Peak. So we've been brainstorming ideas to make room for everyone. And that's part of why we went ahead and built our road, was so we would have a way to get to the top of the hill, because down the road, I've always wanted to build a house up here. Well, my wife and I have been talking, and we've decided to go ahead and clear a spot and build us a tiny house to transition into, so that my daughter and my son-in-law will be able to live in the house down below. And then as time goes on, we can work on building our barn dominium up here that we want. I'm not gonna get into all the plans and all of that stuff. I'm just kind of giving you a little bit of a premise for today's story, and that is we're gonna try to figure out exactly where we're putting the house. Now, I'm going to, when it's go time and we know exactly where we want it, I'm going to hire JD to come back, bring his dozer, clear off and level our spot, put in a septic and those things. But for today, what I want to do is open up the area in general where I know we want to build the house, so that we can get a better look at how the land lays and what view we want. So we've got a lot of growth here, and it's very thick. And what I'm going to do, I think, is use the mulcher back in there and clear until I come to big trees. And then we'll stop and we'll pull the equipment far away and we'll drop those trees and turn them into logs and get those out of the way. Because when I bring a dozer in here, I don't want to waste any of that wood. I want to capture all the logs and be able to use them. So I'm going to, I don't know how far I'll get this afternoon, but I'm going to start on that process. I brought the Mechmax 8-inch chipper up here. This is a 35 horse wood chipper, and I haven't used it yet. So we're gonna be able to test that and find out what it's made of. When we drop these trees, then we'll take those branches and throw them in it and see how it does. So this ought to be a fun day. Let's get to work. I spent about 25 minutes on the tractor, and actually my first pass, which was probably the most impressive, I forgot to turn the camera on. So yeah, you guys will miss out on that. But I got us to where we got this enormous stump right here that will require a dozer. But I've got this nice poplar tree right here that we're about to take down. And once we get that poplar down, I can take those little trees, the bigger of the small trees, down, and then we can mulch the rest of that mess. And we're just kind of going to do this and work our way through this area here, clearing off where I think I want to put our house. This will require probably another 100 yards of driveway to get to this point. And I think it's going to make a beautiful spot for a house. I am so excited to think about this. Even the prospect of moving into a tiny house with just me, Jana, and Caden, it sounds like a fun adventure to me. Now, when I say tiny house, I don't mean real tiny, but I want to be able to build it. At least I think we're going to build it. We've looked at some of those sheds where people do the shed to house conversions and all of that, and we've talked about doing that, but I don't like how those buildings end up with no overhangs and they don't look like a permanent house. And I would like to build something that's not going to go to waste. It can either be Caden's house when he's ready to move out, or we can attach our barn dominium to it and just kind of do an expansion. So I'm kicking around ideas based on a floor plan that's like 16 by 52 or something like that, because I think that's something that I can pay for as I go along building it. And it will give us enough space to where Caden can have his own bedroom, we can have our own bedroom, and we'll have enough space to live and be comfortable. But yet we can do it quick enough that at least by the time my grandbabies are toddlers and need a little more space to run around and all that, that they'll be able to move into our house and take it over. I don't know how quick all this is going to come together, and we're just kind of dreaming it up as we go along. So I'm probably going to draw the plans myself and decide all of that stuff myself. Well, do what my wife tells me. And but it's exciting. This is kind of how we've always done things. We just kind of fly by the seat of our pants and do what we think will suit us in the moment and enjoy the process. And I think this will be a fun adventure. So I got some of this clearing done. I'm going to grab the, well, first I'm going to stick you guys in the hole here and see if there's anything living in this tree, because that's kind of cool. And then we'll grab the chainsaw and take down this tree. You guys scream if anything gets you. Well, the camera won't quite fit in there. You see anything? See anything? I stuck this camera back in there. I could just see it falling off of the tripod and falling down in the tree. I have to cut it down and then find you guys afterwards. All right, so this tree, we're gonna drop it right toward the side-by-side. And because it's kind of a ritual of mine, the last time I got a new side-by-side, a week after I got it, I pulled it up next to a tree, cut a tree down on top of it. I figure I might as well beat you guys to it because you all gonna comment it anyway. But I'm pretty sure I'm parked far enough away this time, so we should be all right. Let's do this. We got fuel. Let's just do this. And we got our Boys in the Woods sticker, which adds extra horsepower. we got the brush all mulched up from the tree. I'm ready to cut it into logs. Pretty impressed by the Mech-Max 8-inch wood chipper. Now, 8 inches is monster, and I think the biggest thing we probably threw in there was 6 inches. I don't know if I'd throw something 8 inches diameter in there or not, but it didn't. It never did clog, it never did stop, except for once when I was feeding branches and I hit the emergency stop. When you do that and you have stuff in it, well, it's gonna get jammed up and you gotta open this up and clean all the stuff out before you can start it back up. So I was kind of kicking myself for that. But aside from that, man, this thing operated great. It did a good job of feeding stuff in. In fact, I intentionally left some stuff kind of big and wide and difficult to feed just to test it out and see how big you could go. And it did a pretty good job. We've got a nice little spot opened up here. I'm gonna take down those last few trees in that little bunch right there so that we have this section open. This is why I'm into the TYM, picking up this whole tree with the grapple. Well, this was a good time, and in 2.5 hours I did this clearing, and of course, you know, I'm filming and ran back down to the house to get some water because I forgot to bring water with me today. And here's what we're left with. Now, I'll flash back to what was behind me when I opened this video just so you can see the progress. But essentially, we had this whole area from in front of this great big stump all the way back around in through there was all still grown up. This whole section down through here was all still grown up and over into that area. So we've cleared a pretty big area here in 2.5 hours. We're gonna make some progress. I don't know how much I'm actually gonna take out because I don't wanna go too far that way. But I do want this section right here cleared. Because what I'm picturing is a driveway coming back through here, and then somewhere kind of in the middle of this hill before it drops down over the edge, we'll have our 16 by 52 tiny house. And then later on the end of it, we'll attach a probably 40 by 60 garage with 3 bays over this way. And I kind of want it to be mostly in the woods. So I don't want to clear just everything out. I just want to clear the footprint where we're going to build and enough space to put in septic and drain field and all of that. So once we get a little bit more cleared, then we'll start measuring and figuring out how much space we need. But this is looking nicer and nicer. I think I'm going to love living up here. It's just, we have a lot of undergrowth, so it's pretty thick through here, but when we can get this cleared out to where it's opened up and we can see, you know, kind of out and around us, I think it's going to be beautiful. I think we're really going to enjoy living up here, and also being away from the highway and the Dollar General, but still all being here on the property with our family, so they can use the property and hunt and fish and do all the things that I love to do, and we can get together and all that. So I'm really excited about the prospect of this, and I'm excited for the adventure of building a tiny home and living in it for a while as we plan the rest of our house and all of that. This is going to be a good time. I hope you guys will come along with us. Once we get up here, we will also, obviously I was already planning on fencing and barns and cattle and animals, and I think that's something it's going to be important. It's going to make it easier for us to take care of those animals and do all of that if we live up here too. That's another exciting thing. It's going to be a busy year. Hope you will join us. We'll be sharing some of the same type of content on our outdoors channel. So if you're not a subscriber there, be sure and subscribe. And until next time, get outside and enjoy God's creation, because it's beautiful out here. Y'all have a good day.